Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidannasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukakaroti Vachalam Pangoram Gayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namini Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayini Gaurakata Damadaya Nagara Gramatarini Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shrivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ashtasaki Vrinda ki Jai Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki Jai Shri Shri Panchatattva ki Jai Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11, Texts 9 and 10. Text 10 is on the board, so I'm going to start with text 9. Yarhambujakshap pasasarabho bhavan karun madhun vata suhritti drikshaya Tatrabdakoti pratimakshano bhavet ravim vinakshnorivanastavachyuta. Translation. O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like 1,000,000 years. O infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless as if bereft of sun. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. We are all proud of our material senses for making experiments to determine the existence of God. But we forget that our senses are not absolute by themselves. They can only act under certain conditions. For example, our eyes. As long as the sunshine is there, our eyes are useful to a certain extent. But in the absence of sunshine, the eyes are useless. Lord Sri Krishna, being the primeval Lord, the supreme truth, is compared to the sun. Without him, all our knowledge is either false or partial. The opposite of the sun is darkness. And similarly, the opposite of Krishna is Maya or illusion. The devotees of the Lord can see everything in true perspective due to the light disseminated by Lord Sri Krishna. By the grace of the Lord, the pure devotee cannot be in the darkness of ignorance. Therefore, it is necessary that we must always be in the sight of Lord Krishna so that we can see both ourselves and the Lord with his different energies. As we cannot see anything in the absence of the sun, so also we cannot see anything, including our own self, without the factual presence of the Lord. Without him, all our knowledge is covered by illusion. Text 10. kathaṁ vayaṁ nātha ciroṣite tvayi prasanna-dṛṣṭyākhila-tāpa-śoṣaṇam jīvema te sundara-hāsa-śobhitam apaśyamānā vadanam manoharam iti codīritā vācaḥ prajānāṁ bhakta-vatsalaḥ śṛṇvāno anugraha-dṛṣṭyam dṛṣṭyā vitanvan prāviśat puram. I read the verse once and then we can have repetition. Kathaṁ vayaṁ nātha ciroṣite tvayi prasanna-dṛṣṭyākhila-tāpa-śoṣaṇam jīvema te sundara-hāsa-śobhitam apaśyamānā vadanam manoharam iti codīritā vācaḥ prajānāṁ bhakta-vatsalaḥ śṛṇvāno nugrahaṁ dṛṣṭyā vitanvan prāviśat puram. Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, kathaṁ vayaṁ nātha ciroṣite tvayi prasanna-dṛṣṭyākhila-tāpa-śoṣaṇam jīvema te sundara-hāsa-śobhitam apaśyamānā vadanam manoharam iti codīritā vācaḥ prajānāṁ bhakta-vatsalaḥ śṛṇvāno nugrahaṁ dṛṣṭyā vitanvan prāviśat puram. Word by word translation, if you like to repeat. Kathaṁ, how. Vayam, we. Nātha, O Lord. Ciroṣite, being abroad almost always. Tvayi, by you. Prasanna, satisfaction. Dṛṣṭyā, by the glance. Akhila, universal. Tāpa, miseries. śoṣaṇam, vanquishing. Jīvema, shall be able to live. Te, your. Sundara, beautiful. Hāsa, smiling. Śobhitam, decorated. Apaśyamānāḥ, without seeing. Vadanam, face. Manoharam, attractive. Iti, thus. Cha, and. Codīritā, speaking. Vacha, words. Prajānāṁ, of the citizens. Bhakta-vatsalaḥ, kind to the devotees. śṛṇvāno, thus learning. Anugrahaṁ, kindness. dṛṣṭyā, by glances. Vitanvan, distributing. Prāviśat, entered. Puram, Dwarakapuri. Translation. O Master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose smiles vanquish all our sufferings. How can we exist without your presence? Upon hearing their speeches, the Lord, who is very kind to the citizens and the devotees, entered the city of Dwaraka and acknowledged all their greetings by casting his transcendental glance over them. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Krishna's attraction is so powerful that once being attracted by him, one cannot tolerate separation from him. Why is this so? Because we are all eternally related with him, as the sun rays are eternally related with the sun disk. The sun rays are molecular parts of solar radiation. Thus, the sun rays and the sun cannot be separated. The separation by the cloud is temporary and artificial, and as soon as the cloud is cleared, the sun rays again display their natural effulgence in the presence of the sun. Similarly, the living entities, who are molecular parts of the whole spirit, are separated from the Lord by the artificial covering of Maya, illusory energy. This illusory energy, or the curtain of Maya, has to be removed. And when it is so done, the living entity can see the Lord face to face. And all his miseries are at once removed. Every one of us wants to remove the miseries of life, but we do not know how to do it. The solution is given here, and it rests on us to assimilate it or not. What an extraordinary purport. These verses proves a certain point, that Krishna did return to Vrindavan, because there are different theories about the fact that Krishna never went back to Vrindavan. This is one instance where it's very clear, where the devotees are saying you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan or Hastinapur to meet your friends. There's another such instance during the Krishna Leela pastimes 10th canto. Our acharyas very clearly confirm that after killing Dantavakra and Shishupala are Jaya and Vijaya, the third lifetime, and in fact Dantavakra was also the cousin of Krishna. So Krishna, after killing Dantavakra, visited Vrindavan Dham. So this point becomes clear in these verses as well. And what we hear in these verses, Krishna withdraws and manifests himself according to his will. So here, Rajabidiyolagininda Kasturi Rangatera Neri Meredu Banda. So let's visualize this beautiful form of Krishna with his Adaram Maduram, Hasitam Maduram, Vadanam Maduram, Hridayam Maduram. Such sweetness of character. Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is walking on the streets of Dwaraka, where the whole ambience is filled with intense love. And Krishna is walking, he's having his footsteps being placed, and the devotees are seeing him face to face. And Krishna is casting his glance upon the devotees and mesmerizing them. Just as Srila Prabhupada, when he would walk in, he would look at the devotees, he would mesmerize them and captivate them. I'm sure Janaras Prabhu has felt that captivation of Srila Prabhupada's glance. And when Srila Prabhupada looks, or when our gurus look into our eyes, and we hold that vision, it's an extraordinary moment of spiritual bliss. O lotus-eyed Lord, Ambujaksha. Ambuja means water-born. So what is born in the water? The lotus is born in the water. Ambujaksha. So Krishna has an eyes for water-born lotus. And so those eyes is the point of today's discussion. How Krishna's eyes was meeting the eyes of the devotees. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. So anointed, the devotees, when anoint their eyes with love for Krishna, then that vision causes the complete perfection of bhakti yoga. And here we see another word, apasasara, abdakoti, means being in separation from Krishna. Abdakoti means like tens and thousands of millions. So the millions of years of separation, this intense love in separation. And there's another verse in Shikshashtakam. What's the verse? Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam Govinda virahena me. This verse of Shikshashtakam, where Yugaitam nimishena, even 1 second is seeming like yugas, millennials. Chakshusha pravrishaitam. My eyes are flowing with torrents of rain because of that separation due to which I'm experiencing such a void. Shunyaitam jagat sarvam. The whole universe seems meaningless, empty, useless. And that same verses of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the separation is expressed herein in the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, the relevance of these verses in our lives is as follows. Just as Krishna manifests and withdraws himself in the pastimes in Dwaraka, in Mathura and Vrindavan, similarly, he also manifests and withdraws his presence in our hearts, in our minds. Sometimes we feel Krishna more intensely, more strongly in our actions, in our daily life, in our activities, in inspiration, in clarity, in devotion, in connection. Sometimes he withdraws himself. We find it difficult, at least I find it difficult sometimes, struggling to find that taste to chant the holy names, struggling to be attached to Srimad Bhagavatam, struggling to take shelter of devotees. So there's manifestation and withdrawal of Krishna for a living entity in this way. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a neighbor, and we were kind of both in the mood of, oh, Mayapur is getting so muddy, and all our saris have become muddy, and the bikes are all like muddy. And she has friends in Serbia, and I have friends in different places, and we were both discussing how our friends, when we complain to them, oh, Mayapur is so muddy, they're like, come on, girl. You're in Sridham, Mayapur. Stop complaining, be grateful. And oh my God, that's so true. It's like that awakening, association of devotees in separation. Devotees in Serbia, devotees in Bosnia, devotees in South Africa, different parts of the world. They're in separation from the Dham. And one phone call through which they can disseminate, they can give that love they have for the Dham. So I found this very interesting connection. The whole Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is about love in separation, vipralamba. The whole essence is in that separation. But what does it mean for us? And what does it mean for me when I feel disconnected from Krishna today or this week? How do I reconnect with Krishna? How do I invite Krishna and say, please, Krishna, walk through the streets of my heart and my mind, just like you're walking the streets of Dwaraka, glancing upon the devotees, destroying all their suffering. That cry for mercy, that invitation is what works, and not our knowledge, jnana karmadi anavritam. It's not with jnana, or it's not with karma, it's not with how much knowledge I gain, it's not with what perfect activities I perform, but Krishna can be found in my utter state of helplessness, powerlessness, when I'm struggling to find Krishna in my actions, in my words, in my heart. My grandfather, Back then, when I was a child, we didn't have mobile phones, we didn't have Mayapur TV, we didn't have computers. And every morning, every night, as soon as we wake up, he'd say, don't open your eyes yet. Before you open your eyes, put your hands in the front, and you do. This is still a custom. Some of the South Indians, we know that, right? Do that. Kragre vasati lakshmi karamadhye saraswati karamule tu govinda prabhate karadarshanam. And I would say, but where is Krishna? I can't see him. Where is the darshanam? Where is he? And my grandfather would say, he is in your mind. He's in your mind's eye. He is in your heart. You request him to manifest in front of you, in your hands, into your day, into your life. And it's still a custom. Like, I sometimes wake up, somebody's calling me and I'm like, yeah, wait a minute, I can't look at you yet. I have to do this. And then take a picture of Radha Madhava, look at Radha Madhava, and then look at the world. The eyes, the perfect vision that the eyes want to behold is the form of Krishna. And those eyes, it's like Prabhupada is saying here, Krishna's attraction is so powerful that once being attracted by him, one cannot tolerate separation from him. So, there are days that we couldn't see Radha Madhava during the lockdown time, and we were like craving, and Mayapur TV was having more views than usual. So there's that craving, the natural craving of the eyes to want to see Krishna, to want to see devotees, to want to see the loved ones. Now, time of Dwarka, forget about phones, forget about computers, forget about Mayapur TV. There was no pictures even of Krishna. They couldn't just Zoom Krishna, WhatsApp Krishna and say, hey, can we have a video chat? I miss your smile. Krishna is a very sweet person. He's always smiling. He has such a warm presence. Everyone wants his smile. They couldn't. There was no connection other than the connection they had established within their hearts. There was no other connection than memory of the impressions, of the samskaras. There was no daily darshans that they could see what Krishna was doing today. So Krishna has just returned from the Kurukshetra war. Basically the whole dynasty was destroyed. Everyone, a very, very, very handful of people that survived. Who are they? They were Pandavas, Satyaki, or Yuyudhana Satyaki, and then Krishna, of course. And then on the other side was Kripacharya, and then was Ashwatthama. Everyone else were dead and gone. So it's a very intense moment in the history. The era of Mahabharata is that of politics, diplomacy, violence, treachery, power play, aggression, violence, revenge. And then we have Srimad Bhagavatam, Sarva-shastrabdi-piyusha, Sarva-vedaika-satphala, Sarva-siddhanta-ratnadhya, Sarva-vedaika-satphala. And then we have the contrast where Srimad Bhagavatam is the essence of all the scriptures. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha is the nectar of all the scriptures. And is the essence of all the Vedas. And it's the gem, the most precious gem among all the gems. And it's the heart and soul of the devotees. And here we see a completely contrast situation from that of the war, tragic war, where devotees are getting connected with Krishna. And here in this purport, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes the sight of the Lord. And this is very significant. What does it mean for me to be in the sight of the Lord? So Prabhupada is saying, by the grace of the Lord, the pure devotee cannot be in the darkness of ignorance. By the grace of Srila Prabhupada, by the grace of our Vaishnava Devotees Association. Therefore, it is necessary that we must always be in the sight of Lord Krishna so that we can see both ourselves and the Lord with his different energies. I really pondered around this statement. What does it mean, sight of the Lord? I come in front of Radha Madhava, I come in front of Radha Govinda, I go in front of Nrsimhadev, I go in front of Panchatattva. Am I in the sight of the Lord? Yes, maybe not. Sight of the Lord has a deeper experience. Like, personally for me, when I have a good day of good japa, and the day ended properly yesterday, good connection with Shastra, good association, I'm in alignment, I've done my duties properly, and there is a sense of feeling the presence of Krishna, right? And when that doesn't happen, there's a struggle. And then I said, it's something like this analogy. It's like, imagine a CCTV camera. I mean, right now I'm in front of a camera. So I'm trying to be my best. I'm conscious how I speak, and I'm conscious how I'm sitting. I'm conscious of what I'm saying. Similarly, if somebody is watching on a CCTV camera 24/7, and everything I'm doing, everything I'm saying is being watched. When we walk in front of CCTV camera and we know somebody's looking, we're a little bit more careful, right? We make sure that we don't look too weird. So similarly, being seen by Krishna, knowing that Krishna has access to me, he's watching me. Like right now, what does it mean for me that I'm inside of Krishna? It's a very subtle thing. It's a very internal thing. Am I aligned to Krishna's teachings, to Srila Prabhupada's teachings? Am I following what I am trying to share here? Am I in alignment with my motivations of doing this service, of sharing the Srimad Bhagavatam and the realizations? So it's a very specific thing. For each of us, what means being inside of Krishna can be in detail slightly different. But in essence, being in alignment to Krishna's will. Waking up in the morning and saying, Krishna, I'm yours. I wasted so many lifetimes trying to control, trying to find pleasure. But today, Rishikena Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti-ruttama. Today I've taken up to Bhakti Yoga. I want to please your senses, O Rishikesh, the master of the senses. I want to engage my senses in your service today. Please help me to align myself to your will. So being in sight of Krishna can mean Krishna is factually present, looking at me, accessing all my files, all the different files I have in my brain, in my actions, in my relationship. He has access to all of them. He knows the password of my computer, my mobile phone. He knows everything that's going on for me. And then there's a beautiful verse. Dittatanadi pattavalida Vrishni Nandana Charanava. Vrishni is one of the clans of the Yadu dynasty. So how Krishna very perfectly ran that dynasty. Similarly, please rule my heart, rule my desires. I offer all my desires at your lotus feet. I hand over all my struggles, all my happiness, all the things I'm grateful for at your lotus feet. And Srila Prabhupada is saying, this is in the next 10th, it's in the 10th verse. He's speaking about how we are separated, the separation. We are separated, and that separation from Krishna is artificial and temporary. Yeah, those words really strike strongly for me, because sometimes I may identify with my weaknesses, my challenges, my struggles as me. No, but these are just clouds that's covering my real identity. Jiver Swarupoi Krishna Nityadas. My real identity is I'm servant of Sri Krishna, and as a servant of Sri Krishna, I am a happy servant of Krishna. Krishna wants happy servants, right? I'm a secure servant of Krishna. I'm a confident servant of Krishna. But when those two go together, there's harmony. It's not like I am a pathetic, depressed, sad servant of Krishna. It doesn't exist. Servant of Krishna is happy, is abundant. So Vrindavan is a long way. Vrindavan. And that connection to Sri Krishna, who is eternally in Vrindavan. It's a state of consciousness that I can achieve if I'm consciously being seen in sight of Krishna. I am putting myself worthy enough to be in the sight of Krishna. Internally, externally, in my relationships. Oh, one small side comment or side note. You know one interesting thing? The Pandavas, they only had their human DNA was actually Yadus. They actually didn't have the Kuru blood in them, because the only human DNA they had is of Mother Kunti, who was a Yadu. And because then they were conceived from the demigods. I just found that interesting that even the Pandavas were Yadus, you know. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada is speaking about this curtain. The curtain needs to be removed. This the 10th purport, the text 10 purport, it's just so extraordinary. The living entities, who are molecular parts of the whole spirit, are separated from the Lord by artificial covering of Maya, illusory energy. And it has to be removed. And then we can see face to face the Lord. And yeah, I mean, I didn't quite grasp this sentence that the solution is given here and it rests on us to assimilate it or not. Everyone wants the miseries of life to be removed. We do not know how to do it. It's a very interesting kind of, it's like a mixture of, it's a mixture of a kind of, not a contradiction exactly, but he's giving it, then Srila Prabhupada is giving the answer. He's saying we must be freed from Maya. And then he's also saying we all want it to be removed, but we don't know how to do it. And then he's saying the solution is given here. It's like, you know, it's a bit like, what does it exactly mean? Yeah, so I found this, there's this Bhaja Govindam Sanskrit verses, even Srila Prabhupada quotes that, and I thought maybe I'll go along those lines to kind of find what the relevance of this last two lines of this purport means. And yeah, but just before that, the curtain. I want to speak a little bit about this curtain. What is this curtain? I think for each of us, the curtain can be like different things. Maybe for some of us, it may be the curtain of dependency on others. For some of us, maybe a curtain of power addiction, like we can see in Mahabharata. Some people had emotional dependency, they had sentimental attachment, some people had power addiction, some people had power play, some people had revenge to take. There were so many motivations. And Krishna was so expert. He brought all of them together, set all this perfect intrigue, the perfect director of a perfect movie, the perfect movie called Mahabharata. Then he fulfilled everybody's desire. He engaged everybody according to their natures and their motivations. So, for each of us, just like there are different avatars, our acharyas is, you know, I was reading something about, I haven't read the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, but I read the reference that there is a definition, the description of all the different avatars, and how our Goswamis also speak about every avatar that Krishna takes. He's specifically focusing on certain aspects. For example, Vamana Dev rules Jupiter planet, and then Kurma Dev rules Saturn planet, and each of these planets have specific human qualities that we are all striving to progress towards or trying to work on suppressing or removing, such as like Rahu or Ketu. These are the planets. Varahadev is the lord of Rahu. So each of the avatar, they manifest with perfect qualities to help human beings achieve the purpose of life. Now, and for some of us, maybe the curtain is fear. And once we come into Krishna consciousness, we take shelter of the Guru, we become initiated, we associate with devotees, we love kirtans, we like prasadam. So there's like the foundation being set. What does that mean after that? I mean, somebody who's reading Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavatam, and says, everyone wants to remove themselves from miseries of life, but we do not know how to do it. Again, the the alignment, the realignment of understanding the philosophy. Oh, by the way, the Bhaja Govindam, it's this sentence is relevant. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukring karane nahi nahi rakshati dukring karane. In this specific thing, the curtain that Shankaracharya wrote this song, he's commenting, is the curtain of attachment to knowledge and logic. Dukring karane, grammar, logic. A logician cannot understand Krishna just by the mere facts and knowledge. In fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see so many difference about the human rules and regulations applied in a completely different way. Meaning, Srimad Bhagavatam glorifies demons over demigods. Okay, there's Vritrasura, such a great demon, and he's glorified over all the demigods, even Indra. Okay, that's something special about Srimad Bhagavatam. And logically, we can't understand why. And then we have a lot of chapters, only next to Krishna's 10th canto chapters. The most number of chapters dedicated is Prahlad Nrsimhadev story. Okay, and out of that, I think there's only 3 chapters exactly on Nrsimhadev, and the rest all is like on Prahlad Maharaj. I don't know, it's like about 7 or 9 chapters just dedicated to Prahlad Maharaj. And that little boy was also born in a demoniac family, and not just that, he was also not keeping to the mere human, cultural facts about it. He wasn't even listening to his father. Okay, he was disobeying the orders of his father. And that Prahlad Maharaj is our greatest example. And we have so many such examples in Srimad Bhagavatam where sometimes wives turn out smarter than husbands. For example, the Dvijapatnis, the wives of the Brahmanas. And so there are many things that are difficult to understand just by logic, and it's only by devotion. Srila Rupa Goswami focuses in the Nectar of Devotion. Everything he learned from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the concentrated teachings, he presents it. And the essence is devotion to Krishna. The essence is never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna. Always engage everything in service of Krishna. Devotion above all. And Srimad Bhagavatam also propounds, it's such a powerful, it's the, after Krishna left, Dharma Jnana Adibhisaha Kalo Nashtam Drisham Mesha Puranarko Adhunodita. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna. Because after Krishna left this planet, Srimad Bhagavatam was that sun, speaking about that sun. Without Srimad Bhagavatam, we have no light to see. I mean, we may say, yeah, I switch on electricity. Yeah, we are talking here about a different kind of sun, a different kind of light. It's a light of knowledge, it's a light of bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam gives that vision to see reality distinguished from illusion. Okay. Asadu sadhu tadayin ati nichochataraka hana muncha kadachinma prema hritkantayospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O giver of the saintliness to the unsaintly, please uplift me. Ati nichochataraka, please uplift me, I am most fallen. Hana muncha kadachinma prema hritkantayospura. Let my throat, my heart be filled with the holy names and the taste for Krishna consciousness, and be accompanied by pure love of Krishna. So Srimad Bhagavatam gives us that transformation that we're looking for even after we come into the Krishna consciousness movement. Because it's not that we are sadhakas only till 9 a.m. and then after 9 o'clock the bell rings, we are free. Till 9 a.m. I'm a sadhaka and then I can do whatever I want. A sadhaka is a sadhaka 24 hours. So we are in sight of Krishna not till 9 a.m. We try to be in the sight of Krishna all day, all life, because we want that mercy. One thing I found personally is preaching Krishna consciousness is so much easier than being Krishna conscious. it's very nice to research quotes and bring the songs and present the Krishna consciousness in a very attractive way, but then to follow it, to be in the sight of Krishna and act according to his will and give up all my controlling ability, tendencies, all my fears, all my tendencies to complicate life and relationships. Now, giving that up is the real surrender. The true surrender is not just I'm willing to give up sinful life and I'm willing to follow certain etiquette, but and just get out of painful situation, but actually surrender actually means I'm being ready to become free from controlling my life the way I think I want, and to change that whole life strategy from that obsession of a pursuit, whatever each of us may have, maybe fear, maybe dependency, maybe power play. Each of us may have our own conditionings, and to direct that and say, Krishna, I hand over my life, I hand over this relationship, and try to see Krishna's hand in that situation. So the whole point is to let Krishna take over the reins, just like he took over for Arjuna, and let him drive the chariot of our life. And to let go of that former self, there has to be a certain kind of death. Even, when the Dantavakra, I was reading that story, and all the things Dantavakra is saying is quite insulting. But actually, if you see the deeper Sanskrit meaning, the Vaishnavacharyas explain that it has the opposite side, where he's saying, you're not a fool, please kill me, please liberate me. He's actually saying the exact opposite of what appears to be the superficial words. So similarly, I might be having certain anarthas or conditioning that I may not be aware of, but I know that I don't like the consequence, like an obsession or an addiction. Kind of Dantavakra can be compared to that addiction. I was thinking, he didn't actually want to be that. He was trying to take revenge because his friend was killed. Shalva was killed, and so he wanted to take a revenge by fighting Krishna. And similarly, sometimes we have certain anarthas, we don't like it, and we have a sense of powerlessness about it. I may not want my weakness to take over my very delicate bhakti lata bij, that little seed that is sprouting in my heart that is connecting me to Krishna. But then there is a powerlessness. And sometimes that powerlessness makes me helpless. And it's an opportunity for me to surrender to Krishna. Because if I was all perfect and my sadhana was perfect, then pride could creep in. So when all these feelings or weaknesses come, actually I can take opportunity and say, Krishna, oh my God, I got it wrong again. I'm not the controller. I realize it. Please take over and please let me align to your will. And in this section where Prabhupada is speaking about the miseries being destroyed, the living entity can see the Lord face to face and all his miseries are at once removed. 2 points here. One is anukulyena krishnano shilanam bhaktiruttama. Anukulyena means serving Krishna favorably. Kamsa was thinking of Krishna constantly, and Dantavakra was also quite obsessed about Krishna. So that obsession and that meditation was not favorable. He was like inimical. It was toxicity. And similarly, that kind of toxicity could be with fear. Oh, if I don't do this, Krishna will punish me. Krishna is not a punishing God. We're just seeing adaram maduram, vadanam maduram, hasitam maduram. He's always a smiling person. He just wants to save us from the misery that we're getting ourselves into. He's not waiting there to see where I'm going wrong and punish me. He's just trying to save me. He's just trying to rescue me from the trap that my mind is casting into. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Ar keno maya jale paditecho jiva mina. Ar keno maya jale. He's saying, like the fish that goes and gets trapped with that little foot that is stuck to the fishing net, Like that, oh Jiva, why are you going and getting stuck into your own material desires and getting yourself trapped? So this klesha, that miseries, Srila Rupa Goswami very beautifully goes through the whole process in Nectar of Devotion. Klesha agni shubhada moksha laghuta krit sudhurlabha sandrananda visheshatma Shri Krishna karchini chasa. Klesha agni, that's the first characteristic of devotional service. When we perform devotional service, all miseries are destroyed. Klesha, miseries. Agni, fire. So klesha, agni, all miseries are burnt to ashes. So when we perform sadhana bhakti, the first two characteristics of the 6 characteristics of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu become manifest. One is free from misery, second is shubhada, everything becomes auspicious. We act in ways that are favorable for us. That means auspiciousness. We stay away from things that are not favorable for us, doing ourselves a favor by going only for the favorable things. So when we perform sadhana bhakti, we're supposed to have these 2 characteristics bestowed upon us. And we can actually take a look and see, how much free from misery am I? How much stuck am I? And how many subtle motivations there may be that's causing me to not experiencing auspiciousness and freedom from misery. This is a personal work we all can do. At the end of the day, Bhaktivinoda Thakur suggests introspecting all his songs. All the songs of Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is catered towards that churning, that introspection. And then Bhava Bhakti, then after Sadhana, in Sadhana Bhakti we have Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, meaning following the rules and regulations. And then we have Raganuga, the spontaneous devotion. Those are the 2 categories. So in Sadhana Bhakti we're supposed to feel freedom from misery, and we all have that experience. When we are in the right association, when we are in the right service, we don't experience misery like when we're sitting at home and just focusing on that misery and staring at the mirror of misery. That's actually in our mind. I say mirror because when I look at the mirror, I see all the miseries that's here. It's nowhere outside, it's all in here. So the miseries of the mind gets a ticket to go out. And then Shubhada, then auspiciousness. Then we have Moksha Laghuta Krit, Sudurlabha. So these are the 2 characteristics, along with being free from misery and auspiciousness in Bhava Bhakti. When we go advanced into our devotional emotions for Krishna, then these 2 manifest. We become like liberation, it just becomes like nothing, we don't even care about it. And Sudurlabha, it's not easily given, it's rarely attained. So all 4 characteristics come in the Bhava Bhakti. And then in Prema Bhakti, when we reach that state of Prema, Sandrananda Visheshatma, Shri Krishna Karchini Shasa. Sandrananda, it's not just Ananda, it's Sandrananda, which is like thick happiness or concentrated bliss and happiness and ecstasy is experienced. And that's what we are seeing in the Dwarkavasis. They're experiencing love in separation, and then the joy, and then all these emotions are expressed because it's concentrated, intense love for Krishna. And then Shri Krishna Karchini Chasa. The 6th characteristic of the devotional service, when we perform devotional service, is we are able to attract Krishna Karchini Chasa, which the devotees of Dwarka, of these pages, have done. Krishna is coming to them. So we will end here today by requesting Shri Krishna, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, our ever well-wishing friend who has an eternal smile on his face and his beautiful lips and his beautiful face and his lotus-like eyes may always be manifest in our heart. And may Shri Krishna empower us to achieve the purpose of our life and to help us to make decisions that are favorable for our devotional service and help us to align to His will so we can be of a good contribution to ISKCON and Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON. And in fact, Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON is manifestation of Krishna. Once we come, we can't leave. So, like Prabhupada is saying, once being attracted by Krishna, one cannot tolerate separation from him. No matter what happens in ISKCON, no matter all the differences, no matter all the conflicts, all the snowball fights we have over, Srila Prabhupada said, we don't leave because we are attracted to Krishna consciousness, to our acharyas, to the devotees. So thank you very much for this opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupa Goswami ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. If you have any comments or questions. Yes, Prabhu. Oh, thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, as you told that the Dwarka Vasis, Gopis, they feel separated from Krishna as they are away. But I have recently come to settle at Mayapur Dham. Sometimes
Welcome.
I feel Mayapur Dham.
Welcome to Mayapur Dham.
Thank you, Mataji. And sometimes it keeps in my mind that due to some comfort zone, insincerity, or overconfidence, it may creep in and I take it for granted. So how I can be proper staying at Mayapur Dham and intensely doing bhakti? That is my first question. And second query is that in the purport, it is mentioned that the living entity can see the Lord face to face and all his miseries are at once removed. So how it can be done, Mataji? Thank you so much for your nice class.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So if I understood your questions correctly, you have two questions. One is basically you're asking for some suggestions on how to remain focused while being in Mayapur Dham. And the second question is about how can we see Krishna face to face? I had the same questions. Okay, I'll start with the second question of yours. Krishna, Radha Madhava, is there downstairs. Krishna decides to manifest in the form of Archa Vigraha because he wants to see us face to face. He decides to come so we can connect with him, so we can meditate on his form, on his beauty, on his names, on his pastimes. So when Krishna appears in the form of the deity, it's Krishna who is there, waiting to see us face to face. And in fact, when we visit different temples, it's not that we have to see the Lord, it's also Krishna who's seeing us. Like being in sight of Krishna, we're going to Krishna with our consciousness, with our prayers. So that's my understanding that Krishna is there. Krishna is there in the form of Archa Vigraha. Krishna is the holy name. Every single day we have the opportunity to call him out, to connect with the holy name, to connect with Krishna through the Nam Prabhu. The holy names is Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Arunodita is the sun who is manifested. Krishna was manifested in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, associating with devotees, chanting the holy name, serving the deities, these are all the ways that we are seeing Krishna face to face. And then, we're working towards becoming worthy for us to be able to premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena, to anoint our eyes with love so we can see him. He is seeing us. Every time we're connecting to the holy name, he's seeing me, he's seeing us. He's seeing us when we go and stand in front of the deities. He's seeing us when we are listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. And then the first question about is such a very sincere, very humble, very authentic question you have. How can I be focused with this mind causing me all sorts of disturbances? One day at a time. Every day we stick to the program, we chant, we take shelter of the holy name, we never leave the association of devotees, never leave ISKCON, no matter what happens. We find like-minded devotees, and the biggest of all, being vulnerable and seeking help when we need. When we have troubles, we don't hide it, don't throw it under the carpet. We openly go, and trustworthy devotees, we share the burden of our heart and we follow the instructions given thereafter. We don't, like you said the word, I could relate to that, overconfidence. Sometimes there's an overconfidence. Oh, I give Srimad Bhagavatam class, so I can't go and ask help. You know? So that's overconfidence. No, there has to be that vulnerability to say, I need help. Okay, as a community, we can be there for each other, you know, through our own weaknesses. Someday I may be weak, another day my friend may feel weak, so we lift each other up. We support each other. Nowadays, you know, just make a phone call, Zoom call, wherever in the world you are. Hey, let's study Srimad Bhagavatam together. Let's see what Krishna has to say for us. We used to sometimes do, one of our friends would come lamenting about the kids being very annoying, say, yeah, let's go, pick up Bhagavatam, open the page, you say, this is what Krishna is saying, be patient, be tolerant, something will come up, you know. So we're like, you see, Krishna's there, face to face. Our circumstances are a way Krishna is calling us. Now we say in South India, Sankatadalli Venkataramana. So when difficulties are given, we go to Venkataramana, Krishna. So if everything is going okay, I become so full of myself. Then my mind starts showing me who's the boss. Then I go to the real boss. And then I say, Krishna, you win. I can't control my mind. No? Does it make sense? Does it help? Thank you. Oh. How can they feel separated? Oh, I think Janani Prabhu can explain that. How can devotees being in the Dham feel separation? He said, some devotees who live outside the Mayapur Dham, they feel separation for the Dham. And there is that intense love. So he's saying, while being in the Dham, how can we experience separation?
You have to tolerate. You have to tolerate separation. Regarding this question, Prabhupada said there are three types of transcendentalists: the jnanis, yogis, and the devotees. And the jnani, he has to wait till he leaves his body before he gets his liberation. And the yogi, he has to wait till he leaves his body. And the devotee also, he has to wait till he leaves his body before he gets his. Becomes revealed to the devotee. Devotee is performing devotional service, and by his devotional attitude, when his devotional attitude is right, when the devotee's devotional attitude is right, then Krishna will come, or Guru will come, and he will reveal everything to him. But we have to perform our devotional services nicely as possible to have a proper attitude. Then it actually becomes revealed. the Dham, Krishna, everything will become, you'll see before your eyes. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I would like to read a little bit, a couple of paragraphs from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in relation to this topic. A bogi, one who attempts to enjoy this world, considers himself the seer, dṛṣṭyā, and everything else, including the Supreme, as the seen, dṛṣṭyā, his object of vision, darshana. Due to their bitter experience of this world, so-called renouncers wish to deny the plurality of dṛṣṭyā, dṛṣya and darshana, and thus regard them as one. Only devotees who have the proper vision to appreciate that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and alone is fully independent and no one's servant, being the dṛṣṭyā, should be served by all. For the jivas and all else that are dṛṣya are objects of his darshana. He who sees an object is called the seer, and an object seen by the observer is called the seen. The instrument of seeing is called sight. It is a common error to deem the sense of sight the actual seer. Whatever we can measure by any of our senses, we also call a seeable object, and he who senses it is called the seer. It is best that the jiva see himself as the object of Krishna's enjoyment. Thinking himself the seer, he sees the world as the object of his enjoyment. But thinking himself the enjoyer under the influence of the false ego will result only in his misfortune. It is not fitting that the jiva see the world as the object of his own enjoyment. Rejecting that outlook and instead seeing the world as the object of Lord's enjoyment, seeing it as Krishna's world or Gokula, is the jiva's good fortune and satisfies Krishna's senses. I am not the seer, but rather I am seen by Krishna. I am not the enjoyer, but the object of enjoyment for Krishna.
Thank you, Jananivas Prabhu. That was a perfect answer. And thank you, Prabhu, for the quote. It reminded me of the 13th chapter, right? Upadrishta Anumanta, right? Krishna is he perceives and he's a seer, and then he is looking at us and we are the looked upon, right? We are being seen, we are being enjoyed by Krishna. Yeah, thank you. And then the other one also, the quote reminded me, what's that verse? Bhukti mukti siddhi kami sakale ashanta Krishna bhakta ata eva shanta. The Krishna devotee is always peaceful, like Prabhu is saying, it will be manifested. What's the path, who you will associate with, what you will do in Mayapurdam, what service will come, it will manifest. We live one day at a time, we do our duties, and then it will be manifested. Yeah. Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.